Hello everyone, I'm Gareth Henry. I'm a senior simulation consultant within the Simulation Advisory Group at Haskoning. I've been with Haskoning now for 4.5 years, working on a range of different projects from sort of defence through all the way through to food and beverage manufacturing and flavour changeovers. So today's presentation and webinar, I'm going to be talking through how we simplify the costing and KPI reporting within Witness. So just to give, so the agenda today will be just looking at briefly what is simulation, why we use simulation. I'm aware that a lot of you probably will know about simulation already and be sort of fairly adapt to why we use simulation, but it's always good just to give everyone a quick review of what is simulation and why we would use it. And then a brief intro into KPIs. Obviously, KPIs, you'll all have different understandings of what KPIs are, and so just to get everyone sort of feeling comfortable with what I'll be talking about and sort of what I'm referring to as KPIs. And then overview into the reporting types that we can have within Witness. So basic stats, developing custom reports, and then using the built-in costing and sustainability report and functions within Witness already, which I think are incredibly powerful to enable you to simplify and make your reporting much more sort of understanding and powerful for you. And then looking at why we would sort of output those to external reporting tools such as Power BI, Tableau, Excel, and the likes of that. So I will say this is not the most sexiest of subjects to be talking about. It is a little dry to be talking about, but obviously, yeah, if you've got a question, as Ashley said, raise your hand, put it in the chat. More than happy to answer questions whilst we're going along as well. And there definitely will be time at the end to ask some questions as well. And again, more than happy to take questions offline and sort of set up some meetings if needed to have chats afterwards as well to help you understand sort of what we're doing with these reports and how they can be beneficial to you. So what is simulation? So businesses, as you know, are facing tough questions at the moment about introducing new processes, improving productivity, reducing waste, downtime, reducing costs, sort of energy sustainability, all of those sort of words that are being pushed around at the moment. And so why would we use simulation and what's it for? So it's allowing us to test sort of complex, connected and variable sort of systems that allows us to run multiple different interactions at the same time, allowing us to use data to drive these models, helping us make smarter and better decisions for the future of our facilities and our industry and business that we're looking at, sort of helping us predict into the future, reduce the risk, optimize investment and improve stakeholder sort of interaction. So again, sort of simulation, Witness in particular is what we're looking at here. It sort of helps us review those KPIs, allows us to put in all of the data that we need, and building those complex models that gives us the reassurance that we're not just using static data, but we're using live, real data to enable us to make those decisions going forwards to help reduce operational spending, reduce capital investment up front as well, and making sure that we're doing the right thing at that time. So yeah, benefits of simulation. I think we're all quite aware of the benefits of what simulation can do and how we can use that within our model. So obviously it's eliminating process performance problems, finding bottlenecks, right sizing for business infrastructure, developing business cases, and these reports all help build that story and that narrative around why we need to invest this money or why we're spending this money in this location. So these built-in reporting tools are very, very handy to enable us to build that. And as part of Haskoning, we have a wide portfolio of different simulation tools available to us. This webinar will be focusing purely on the process simulation, so the witness software for these reportings and these KPIs. So what are KPIs? What do I mean when I say KPIs? So when I say KPIs, I mean sort of from a manufacturing point of view myself, but KPIs obviously can be across boards in terms of strategy, performance, optimization, measurements, so business KPIs as well. For the purpose of this webinar, we'll be looking at sort of the KPIs relating to sort of inventory turnover. So obviously, what's our inventory levels? Are we maintaining enough WIP in case there's shutdowns or breakdowns or a starvation of our sort of supply chain? Production efficiency, again, how are we producing? How are we working? Overall equipment effectiveness. So this is obviously when we use breakdowns, allowing us to test how overall our model is working and our equipment is sort of being utilized. On time in full, obviously quite a big one for manufacturing. Project completedness. So again, is our project actually being completed on time? Are we hitting our schedules? So schedule adherence as well. And the two main ones for the sustainability and costing and revenue reporting that we're looking at in this session is around energy usage and then cost per unit. So how much are we actually using in energy, which is also very big at the moment in terms of reducing our energy waste and our sort of the amount of energy that we are using in our facilities to become greener, more sustainable. And then our cost per unit. So how much are we actually spending to produce a component, and how much are we actually then able to generate in revenue from that component? So these are the two big ones that we'll look at in today's webinar. And so yeah, so that's the basic housekeeping of what is simulation and then what are KPIs, brief introduction. So now we'll get into the overview of reporting types and what reporting types we can have within Witness, and then some sort of examples of how you use them, and then also how we actually go about sort of setting some up and some sort of examples of why we'd use them and when. So the reporting types. So we have three main reporting types that are within Witness. So the basic statistics. These are sort of like your basic reports you get on elements. You've then got the developing custom reports. So these are sort of allowing you to dive a little deeper, build your own sort of utilizations, custom reports, and then the final one is using the built-in costing function. This is obviously using the built-in functionality within Witness to allow you to generate those cross simulation reports and data. So the basic statistics. So these can be found on every element within the model, and they get populated as the model is running. You can see the percentage of how much that element has been idle, busy, blocked, how many operations that element has achieved if it's a machine, what's the average sort of wait time or the average traverse time on a conveyor, how many parts are normally on a conveyor, how many parts have entered, how many parts have left, how many parts have entered your system, what's the average length of time that a component or a part stays within your system. So these are generated as the model runs, and you access those by obviously right click and statistics on the element that you're questioning and want to inquire about. These are sort of very good for a quick glance look at to see if your model is working as you're expecting and the data is as you're expecting. But obviously they are just the tip of the iceberg in terms of actual data gathering and reporting and data collection that we can do. And so then the next one, moving into a slightly more complex field, a bit more granularity, is the custom reports. And this is where we can sort of build our own custom data tables and variables, which will be on the next slide, using sort of actions and state change functions within Witness. With a little bit of coding, you can build up your data to look at any granularity. So if you wanted to collect seconds, minutes, hours, weeks, days, months, whatever your granularity that your model is running at, you can use these custom reports to generate that, and they can be looking at state changes to report sort of CapEx and OpEx sort of expenditure, breakdown times, frequency of breakdowns, sort of any sort of state change that's within the model that you want to look at. And then there are some sort of custom reports that are built in within the chart feature, the charting pack, which is in Witness, the timeline, the util machine, util labor, occupied buffer, throughput, and the timeline and machine as well. These enable you to build very quick graphical displays of what's going on in the model, with sort of limited sort of need for coding, giving you sort of ability to build these reports up very quickly so you can show them within the model and enable you to sort of just see what's going on at a very quick glance. And obviously with these custom reports, we need somewhere to put that data. And obviously that data we would put into, say, data tables and variables. So we can either have a graphical display of the data from the data table on the window, or we can have variables which will show, as you can see here, throughput, total profit, and then staff busyness. And these are all built up from custom reports, custom functions that we are generating and recording data within data tables or variables themselves, allowing us that more direct control of what reports we're getting out from the basic reports that we're doing. And these are quite handy if you are wanting to look at sort of state changes within an element itself. So when an element goes from working to busy, or busy to blocked, sorry, and you want to record when that happened and then when did the part actually leave that element, that machine. You can record all of that using these custom functions that we can generate and create, which allows us for better use of our simulation, a better understanding of our data. So now we actually move into the built-in costing and sustainability and revenue reporting. Now, the reason you would use these instead of custom reports is that these will generate a single report across the entire simulation, and it's built in, so there's less sort of need for coding in there. If you are not overly comfortable with coding, you are able to use the built-in functionality already to get a global simulation-wide costing, man hours, electrical usage. The default is cost, and that puts a dollar figure. You can change the currency and you can add your own custom measures and units in this costing report as well. So to do that, you would go into your model options and then you would select the costing and sustainability tab, as you can see here, and that will allow you to change your currency to the currency that you require. So for this demonstration, obviously we're using pounds, UK, English. And then it also allows you to add extra measures that you want to be recording across the simulation. So this is, so here we've got an example of working, and that's being recorded in man hours, electrical, which is being recorded in kilowatt hours, and then we've got a cost, which is currently undefined, so we wouldn't be using that one in this example. But you can add as many here as you would like to capture across the whole of the simulation. So once we have these measures all set up, we would then need to go into our elements themselves and set up what each element is actually using is for their costing, their sort of their revenue generated sort of. So you've got obviously different controls per, if it's either a machine, an element, a machine, a conveyor, a part. So you've got fixed cost, how long. So is the fixed cost dependent on how long the item is in there for? Is it just a fixed cost per action that happens? You've got obviously you've got electrical usage. So what's the baseline of your electrical usage that an element is using? What is the idle sort of capacity? So when it's not running, what is the usage there? And then when it is busy, what is our usage? What's our element sort of cost for the electrics there, or man hours, or tooling, if that costs you money for there, and you know how much that costs per operation, per second it's used. You can put those all in the costing function within the actual element itself, and that can be found within the detail panel. So once you've got all of those set up across all of the elements that you want to be tracking, you then can run your simulation to the time that you want, and then you would go on to your reports menu, and then it's in the costing, revenue, and sustainability report. So this allows you then to capture all of that data that you've put in for your sort of your revenue, and then you can select the measure that you want to be viewing. So we've got costing and energy here. So you can see how much each part has cost us and the total cost for each part. We've then got obviously how much we're able to sell and generate for that part once it's finished and the process has been completed. And then that gives us our overall profit margin for our simulation run for that scenario. And then the same you've got for electrical use there in the kilowatt hours, allowing you to see sort of what your total kilowatt hours for the entire simulation for that period would be. So obviously if you've got breakdowns and stoppages and maintenance where you're shutting stuff down, that will affect obviously the reporting and your results that you're getting out. So obviously that's where the simulation comes into its own, allowing you to build those scenarios. So say you've got those reports and you then want to bring them out into Witness or out of Witness into Power BI or Tableau or anything like that. There are some built-in functions that allows you to collect the data that is generated into that um, costing, sustainability, and revenue reports, and allow you to put those into data tables and allows you to extract those out to CSV files or to Excel or to databases. And these are just a few examples of those there. You can find more in the help function within Witness, and within the help function within Witness, it's got all of the functions in there with an example, as well as sort of a bit of guidance of how to use them as well. And they are quite in depth in terms of what you can do with these reports in terms of getting out total revenue, total cost. You can pull it out for each individual element as well that you want to. So I find that the built-in functionality and built-in costing is very, very good. Allows you to do a lot of work with it and enable you to sort of find out those cross simulation costs that you may not be able to see. So why would we then want to move these out of Witness and into an external software like Power BI or anything like that? So the reason that would be for scenario comparisons. So different input datas, what's the outputs that it's come from, multiple replications. So if you're using random numbers and random number sort of breakdowns, input data, cycle times, that sort of stuff, then you'd want to compare those replications. So you've got a more statistical basis and understanding as to what's actually going on in your model. And so that is why we would then export them using those functions into Power BI or Tableau or whatever you are comfortable bringing that data into to show. So just some examples where we've got obviously different scenarios with the cost and the cost types that allows us to use those built-in functions that we had to bringing it all together for us onto our models. And then as you can see there, we've got another table which just shows some examples of sort of utilization within facilities as well, using some of the custom reports that we were able to generate as well. So to conclude, why would we use Witness and our built-in functionality for the sustainability costing and revenue reporting, as well as the custom reports and the basic statistics instead of a spreadsheet, solely because of the reasons why we would use Witness in general. A spreadsheet is great if it's a static analysis, if we're only looking at one possible input, one possible sort of scenario, no variability, no sort of changes, no sort of availability of labor and equipment, needs and requirements, and those types of ideas and requirements. And again, it just adds that level of confidence that we're looking at in terms of our simulations and the data that we're getting out. And also enables us to look at our sustainability and our sort of the different questions that are being asked in terms of the power of simulation, in terms of our costing, our labor costing, because then you can obviously have different costs per senior members of staff, compare different equipments, different suppliers. What happens if an input data is slightly different to to others in terms of sort of quality of product that's coming in. If there's extra machining work that needs to be done, you can then weigh up different suppliers, different sales markets as well you can look at. And we have got a few case studies that unfortunately I can't share customers with, but they are using it to determine market sales and sort of routing of product due to tariffs and other shipping costs as well. So they are using the built-in function to enable us to do that as well.